Hey, everybody. Hi. Hey, hello. God, I'm so bad at starting shows. Hey, welcome to another glorious episode of Jeff Has Cool Friends. I am Jeff May, and I have cool friends. That's very exciting. I'm very, very stoked to have my next cool friend on here. He is a stand-up friend of mine. We go way, way back. He is the world's foremost satirist who has written for television, theater, the internet, and now his website. According to his website, he is also just one of my favorite people and one of my reasons I ever travel down to San Diego. Give it up for Dallas McLaughlin, everyone.
Wow, man. What a nice intro. Thank you so much.
You
Thank
wrote
you.
most of it.
That is correct. I
did.
I did send you an EPK, didn't I?
You sent me a cover letter. No, I went onto your website to check it out, and it's interesting. You don't give yourself enough credit on your own website, but
Yeah, I don't. I'm really bad with that. That's like the part of this industry that I've never really latched onto is making sure that people know that I'm at all relevant in anything.
okay. So also same,
Yeah,
like shameless self-promotion, I find not only difficult but also embarrassing.
yeah,
And I do think there's a disconnect. I think it's generational. I think
I would
ours
agree.
might be that last generation that spent most of our formative years without the internet and
Yeah.
certainly not social media.
Oh yeah.
So we were conditioned to be different.
Anytime I'm like emailing or messaging somebody about like, hey, like, can I jump on this or jump on that? Doesn't matter what it is. It's like I get like a weird feeling like I'm bothering them. It's really hard. And yeah, or even if like I used to when I started stand up and got a little bit of a name for myself in San Diego, I would show up at shows all the time and just pop in just because I was like, why not? I'm just swinging dicks here. You know what I mean? And it felt great. And now for me to do that would be, I would probably sick to my stomach. Like I'd feel awful.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Like
think with age too, that does come, I guess, a little bit.
yeah. I mean, I am 27,
The
and when you get
humility of
the
a
humility
father. No,
of a father.
I was going to say, I don't like to make generalizations about generational gaps and differences. Because it's the kids today, and it's like, no, that's not real. Like kids have always been this way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think we do have that line of demarcation with millennials and specifically elder millennials that, I didn't have the internet until I was 13 or 14. And
Yeah,
even then it was like dial up. So
yeah.
it wasn't the same. So we didn't really put ourselves out there. So anybody that has that confidence was usually someone that did theater or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But now that confidence is in a lot of the current generation, because why would they know anything differently?
It's in a lot of people who definitely don't deserve it or need it. That's for
But
sure.
sure, but like it's not that they're wrong for being that way.
No,
It's just they're different than how we grew up.
well,
And go ahead.
I mean, I was a parent. I mean, I have two kids, and it's a constant fight my wife and I have with the world is like keeping her, but well, my youngest is 2, so it's not an issue yet. But my oldest is 9. It's like keeping her off social media and then keeping her off devices and then going, well, but if we do that, she's going to be behind because it's not like computers are going anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's that constant thing of like in her school, she uses, iPads and computers all the time. It's like basically how they do everything. So we can't not let her be on something because then she won't understand it. But then where do you draw that line? Like it's just such a
Yeah.
mess, dude. It's
There,
so
there,
hard.
there was an Onion article. I think it was from years and years ago, but it was cool dad introduces daughter to music that will alienate her from the rest of her peers. And it
I
was
saw
like a
that, dude.
dad giving his daughter like a Talking Heads LP or something like that.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, yeah, it's hard. Like, if you don't allow children to grow up the way other children of the time are, they are going to be a little bit off,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, I
But how
think that
much do you have to give in to that too,
yeah, I mean, like we don't allow her to be on social media and won't for quite some time,
Yeah,
even though
that's
she has
hard.
friends who are on social media that are her age. And I'm like, we're like, we don't care. Like, we don't care.
Yeah, you're like, you're
Like,
9.
yeah, you're 9. You're not gonna do it.
You're
You don't
not.
even understand it.
You're not even in double digit age
Yeah.
at this point in time.
The other day she was like, can I get a Snapchat? And I was like, you may not.
No,
Like
no,
that might be
no.
the last one you could get.
Yeah, it's hard not to be the like you can't date until you're 18. You can't
Yeah,
be that guy, but at the same time, you're like, I don't want you to get kidnapped.
dude. I
Kids
mean,
are even smart kids are dumb.
yeah,
Like kids are they're pretty stupid and gullible because they haven't learned that the world is awful.
yeah. Well, and I try to explain that to her. Like it's not me being mean. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to literally protect you from some 45-year-old man asking you for nudes. Like that's
Yeah.
all I'm trying to do. And like I haven't said that to her, but we allude that, and she doesn't. It doesn't make sense. Like there's just nothing. She doesn't live in a world
Yeah, like how
where
do you
any
word
of
that?
that has been a
There are
part of it.
there are people out there that actively want to harm you,
That's what we say.
and this is how they're going to do it.
Yeah, they're going to try to do something weird. Well, no, it's a private account. Like, doesn't matter. Any pictures you take don't go away. They're always there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like all this
Everything is
stuff.
permanent. That's the thing that I think people forget about the internet is everything is permanent, including the shit that you delete.
Except for Friendster. I can't find anything from Friendster. That's the only thing I think
It's not real internet. That was
got deleted up.
I gotta be honest, that didn't happen. That's why.
Oh, okay. It's like the
Yeah.
Bernstein Bears and the
You've
Bernstein
been
Bears.
Mandala'd. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Friendster never happened. It was just you remember MySpace and Napster at the same time, and you were like,
Must be
that's what I
Friendster.
remember. Yeah.
What's funny is yeah, you're right. Like no one remembers Friendster. Like when like I can make that joke and no one in the room will get it. Not even people who are my age. And I'm like, you had a Friendster page. Like, how are you?
It's forgotten.
It is forgotten in
That's
the
like
sands
trying
of
to
time.
remember the movie Baby from the 80s. And you were like, you remember it's that movie. It was like pretty popular where the people had the dinosaur and they were walking around with it. They found a baby dinosaur.
Yeah.
No, that didn't happen. And you're like, no, I swear to God that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, like it was a big deal. Friendster to me was a big deal. I remember liking Friendster so much that when MySpace came out, I was like, this is stupid. Like I hated MySpace.
Yeah,
but,
just because it was new.
Just because it was new. And then
I was that way with Facebook.
Yeah.
I was like, MySpace is the way to go. And then Facebook hit and I was like, ah. And then Twitter came out and I was like,
yeah, I was
the energy for this.
I was dating a girl and we broke up right when Facebook became accessible to everybody, So I forget when that was, but after they did the college only thing, and then
like
they
2005 or something, like
something like that. And we broke up, and then I saw her post that she was going to go to Facebook, and I think that played into me hating Facebook. It's like, well, if she's going to Facebook, man, screw it. Facebook's for whores.
Jesus. Yeah, that's a rough time. That's a bad time to be in.
Yeah, I was really angry and I was really mad. And then, of course, a month later, joined Facebook and tried to friend her.
That's so embarrassing.
Yeah, dude.
I actually reconnected with I don't know how to say this because like the correct wording is going to be confusing. I went to high school with my ex-wife. She was a year below me. We didn't really talk. We connected or reconnected, however you want to say it, on MySpace. Really? Oh, hey, it's you, how have you been? Blah, blah, blah. And we were both kind of like, oh, this person got kind of hot. All right. And we had gotten, and so people were like, and then MySpace died pretty quickly after that. Like MySpace just disappeared. So people would be like, well, how'd you guys reconnect? And we were like, don't ask the question. And because we can't undo that the reason we got married was because of MySpace.
That is so funny.
And dude, the preacher brought it up at the wedding. And I was like, all right, dude.
Was the preacher Tom from MySpace? Was he super excited?
Bags of money.
So
why do I even do this? I'm so rich.
Well, I'll tell you this. I met my wife on Facebook.
Really?
That's how we met. Yeah. We met. We had a mutual friend, and I was drunk and
creeping.
100%. And I was looking at my friend's pictures, and I saw this girl in the pictures, and I thought she was super hot. And I was like, this is early 30s. I'm a bachelor at the time, and I was just drunk and on Facebook. So I did what any hero does, Jeff. I blindly messaged her.
I need this to be a message to all of my listeners here. Be a creep. It pays off. It pays off so hard. It pays off so hard.
Sometimes it can really work. Listen, she sussed it out immediately that I was kind of a weirdo. And
Well,
then
sure you are, but you're also a creep that has like a work background, which is huge.
yeah. Well, that's the
Um,
thing. She did Google me, and that helped my case.
that's fair. That doesn't work the same for me because the most famous Jeff May prevented a school shooting,
What,
and
you prevented a school shooting?
I sure didn't. I sure
Oh,
didn't. But
I
you
was
know
gonna
who
say,
did?
I feel like
A
I'd hear
different
that.
Jeff May.
That's so great. I was like, I feel like I would have known that if you prevented a
Yeah,
school
yeah, no,
shooting.
but it sure did get brought up on a lot of first dates.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, try not being
Yeah.
him. Yeah, no, I do. I literally talk about it on stage where I'm like, try not being him
Did
on
you just
every
start
first date.
saying that it was you on dates?
No, because that's gonna, if you get a second date, you're gonna have to come clean about how you stole some
Uh,
valor from a teen hero.
that's fair. Oh,
Yeah,
is that the dude who like tackled the shooter or something like that?
he was. Yeah, that's kind of what he did. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Now I
yeah,
know what you're
big
talking
guy. I
about.
think he took a bullet too.
Ugh. Well,
Lucky bastard.
as long as at least we neither of us have kids. Sh-
Good time. But yeah, so
yeah.
she probably Googled you and found out that you were kind of instrumental in launching two very popular sort of like indie adult slash children's shows
Yes.
because you wrote on the pilot of both the Aquabats Super Show and Yo Gabba Gabba.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were, like I was in a band for a really long time, and I actually tell a story about it on my new album about that band because people always ask about it. We can go into it later if you want, but
Your punk band?
it's a punk band in quotes. If you listen to us, you would never think we were punk because
What,
we were
Bad
like old.
Credit?
Yeah, bad credit because we were old school hip hop,
Oh,
like call and response hip hop. But we had a live band, so we would play every genre on stage, like ska, punk,
that's every genre.
hardcore. Ska
Country and
punk,
Western,
ska core, punk core.
polka. Yeah.
Exactly. And we just had a lot of fun. Everything we did was for fun, to party and cause fights. And we connected with the Aquabats on a show in San Diego, and they really liked us. And they were like, "Hey, you want to come tomorrow night and play with us in Pomona?" And we are like, "Sure." And then we played the next night in Pomona with them. And then that was like it. We were touring with them for years.
Really?
And yeah, we just connect, like, you just had a lot of fun. It was like they're
Is
just
that is
fun
that a sustainable job?
touring. If you're
Touring
the
with them as a
Aquabats,
band, as an opening band, like is that financially sustainable?
if you live by yourself, if you live with roommates and you have no other thing to worry about except for yourself and your rent, then yes, it is sustainable. And
Okay.
it was for a couple of years. It was great. I mean, it was very fun. It was some of the most fun I've ever had in the world and in my whole life. But like at the time, I had been writing sketch comedy and they were like trying to work on the Aquabat Super Show and they wanted to make a cartoon. And so they were like, "Hey, you know how to write a script?" And I was like, "Yeah, kind of." And then we connected and we started writing scripts for the cartoon of the Aquabat Super Show. And that kind of lost steam. And then one day we sit down at a cafe in Anaheim and they go, "Hey, do you want to, we're working on this other show. It's called Yo Gabba Gabba. We would love for you to help us write some music for it because if you ever watch the show, you can tell pretty quickly that all the music is like very early hip hop based music.
Yeah, yeah. It
Like,
has that very like fun, like clap your hands,
yeah,
everybody. Everybody,
exactly.
clap your hand.
Yeah, it's all like early Run DMC, like Cool Mo D kind of feel to it, and Bismarcky obviously. And so like we were like, yeah, sure, but this was like this show's never being made into anything. So we wrote a bunch of songs, and then all of a sudden it was a pilot, and we made two of them, and we were shooting this huge freaking pilot with Elijah Wood was there, and Paul Frank had put up a bunch of money for it.
Was that Yo
And
Gabba
so
Gabba's
that
pilot?
was Yo Gabba Gabba's pilot. Yeah. So that was the beginning of Yo Gabba Gabba. Was we just found ourselves all of a sudden in a studio making this huge thing, and Nickelodeon bought it, and that was kind of the beginning. And then we wrote on the show for a long time. We wrote a lot of the songs that are very popular, which made me a huge hit with parents in like, let's see, circa 2005. I think it was 2006.
So yeah, I mean you're a part of like a huge thing there. Like that's
Well, I wrote a song called Party in My Tummy, which is like humongous, a huge hit for the show.
really
And we wrote a lot of songs. So it's not like I knew this was the one. It's just we wrote a lot. We were like, Don't Bite Your Friends, How to Make Your Bed, Pancakes and Syrup. Like we just wrote all these songs and we threw them out there. And yeah, dude, that one like took off so much that there was like a book written, Party in My Tummy by Yo Gabba Gabba. Like it was just insane. But here,
does your contract make it so that you write the song and then it's like, and now I get nothing for the rest of this about it?
yes.
Fun.
So I can tell you how much money I made for the entire pilot and first season of Yo Gabba Gabba. And this is not the creators of the show's fault. So I have no problem saying it out loud.
It's the system.
$300
for all of that.
For all of that. And never got any residuals for any of it. $300. And if you've ever worked in kids TV, there's like very little union work.
No,
it's like,
animation too. It's
yeah,
union is awful too.
Yeah. So it's like it's really hard. And like if you're a writer in animation, I worked at Disney Animation for a couple of years as a writer, and they were like, you kind of get shoehorned into the animators union, and it's like they don't care. They just don't, like, you're looked at as the ugly stepchild if you're a writer. But yeah, man. So it's like Yo Gabba was great. And then once Yo Gabba hit and became this huge hit, we circled back to the Aquabats Super Show. And because now we could get our foots in the door, like,
yeah, you already made a hit, right?
Made a hit. It was the number. Oh,
I see. Is it? I'm gonna get it. Lance, is that the guy's name? Like
DJ Lance Rock.
DJ Lance Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I see him at Comic-Cons all the time.
Yeah,
but like walking around.
Yeah, in
like,
his
I don't
suit.
see him really like as a guest so much as like just a dude hanging out.
Yeah,
I've seen him at like a lot of cons in Southern California.
Is he wearing his orange suit or is he just hanging out?
Sometimes, which makes me think that he's there for a professional reason, but I'm always, but every time I see him, he's always just like walking the hall. And I'm like, hey, I recognize that guy, even though I've never seen the show.
Yeah, I mean, like he became like pretty famous, but what's funny about DJ Lance Rock is like little kids think he's fine. Like he's not their favorite part of the show, but he is like, if you were 15 and older, he's like your favorite part of the show for whatever reason. Like when we go to Comic-Con, we had a few years in a row where we did panels and we were walking around and like, dude, the only people that wanted to hang out with DJ Lance Rock, none of them were kids. It was all like teenagers who clearly were just like high and they were like, oh my God, it's Lance Rock. They were super excited. He's a goofy dude. It's very fun. Listen, that we made Yo Gabba Gabba when we sat down to write Yo Gabba Gabba. And I didn't create the show, but I was one of the first writers in the show. When we sat down to work on the pilot and all that stuff, we just wanted to create a show that made us remember how much like we loved Sesame Street when we were little, and like the Muppets, where you'd watch those shows and they just have cool guests on that you liked. It didn't really matter if the kids liked them. It was just like for Yo Gabba, we had like Rocket from the Crypt on as a guest, Ting Tings, Steve Caballero.
You had Leslie Hall.
Leslie Hall.
And here's the only reason I know Leslie Hall is because, and I can't stand the fact that I'm already bringing her up for a second time. She was like my ex-wife's favorite personality.
Really?
You'd, like, go and see her live. Oh yeah, like, hey there's Sparkle Gems and stuff like that. Like she was obsessed with Leslie and the Lies.
Leslie Hall is one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet if you ever got to meet her. She's very nice and gets it immediately. Like she's just awesome. Yeah, she was great.
Her stuff was very funny.
It's very funny. And that's the cool thing I think about Yo Gabba too, is like we had people like Leslie Hall on who weren't like, they weren't famous people. They were
viral people at that.
They were viral people who had like a niche following online, but it was like everybody in the room was just like, what's going to make us laugh the most? What's going to be the most silly and fun? I mean, Mark Mothersbaugh was the guy who taught kids how to draw on the show, for God's sake, but nobody knew Devo.
I mean, look at things like Sesame Street.
Yeah.
When they're doing like Game of Thrones parodies and stuff, or like when they're having, Brett Goldstein come on from Ted Lasso. That's for the parents.
It's for the parents.
And it's for the actors. To be 100% honest, the reality is it's most likely just because it's a dream of the actors to want to come on.
Yeah.
Do the show.
Well, what we found too, like once we started filming it and then it got really popular, so it was easy to get people to come in, was that a lot of them just wanted to come because their kids liked the show. So they brought their kids to set and their kids could hang out on set, and we'd like make this whole room for them to hang out in where all the characters would come in and hang out with them. Like it was like a huge coup for them if they could come in with their kids, which was always funny. But we all grew up like with punk music and Southern California, like skateboarding and all that stuff. So like that's who we would always usually try to go for, is like those kinds of guests, like people we just wanted to hang out with, always, and never got the chance.
Like Biz Markie,
Oh,
for example. I mean, that was that something really big for you where you were just like, man, just the work he did, like the stuff he's done. And I know everybody, just a friend. I know that's the thing that everybody says they love the most. I personally cannot stand that song, but Bismarck, he is so talented. Aside
uh,
from that,
yeah, he's amazing, dude. I mean, The Vapors is probably my favorite Biz song, but like he's, dude. I'll tell you this. We do a quick Biz story. He came in for the pilot, which we were like amazed that he came in for the pilot. And so I go in and I can hear his voice. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to beeline over to him and just annoy the shit out of Biz Markie. And he's just chilling with a couple of friends, and they're just talking about college basketball. And I knew enough to stay in the conversation. So we're just talking about college basketball, and he was like super nice. There was just nothing about him that was like, I'm Biz Markie, but
yeah.
he's a giant. He was a giant human being.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to explain it other than to say, I'm guessing he was about 6'7" and over
He's going to
300
be, if he's
pounds.
6'7" with that body, he's going to be like
Yeah,
350 pounds.
easy. And so like they were giving everybody shirts who worked on the pilot, like free shirts. And they literally went in there like, what size shirt do you want? He just said 6X. And I'm like, but he wore big clothes, bigger than he should, but
Sure, but
huge.
by how much?
So when he stood up to go film, I was just like blown away.
Yeah, when he went,
I was like, it was very awkward. And then the thing he did on the show, like he created that whole thing, like Biz's Beat of the Day, where he just wanted to come and teach kids how to beatbox. Like that was all his idea. They like worked it out before the show. Like everything he wanted to do on the show was his idea. And it was perfect. Yeah, it was so good. And he was nice. I mean, that's the thing about people like that, man, where you're like, man, they could really be big ass.
They could flex on you. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was so sweet. And then we went the first Yo Gabba Gabba live thing they did at the Nokia, I think. Maybe it wasn't the Nokia. It was some weird theater that wasn't nice, but it was in LA. But I think they were doing it as like a proving that they could take it on the road or something. I don't know. Anyway, but Biz was there and he comes out. He like makes an appearance. He comes out to do a live Biz's Beat of the Day. And then he just walks into the crowd with the mic and picks up kids, like just children. He's just holding children and just having them do the beatbox in the mic. He'll do it and they do it. And I was like, I'm like, dude, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Somebody do it. He was awesome. He was so great. And then my buddy, Matt, who was my writing partner for a long time, we wrote Pancakes and Syrup. And one of the last things that Yo Gabba ever recorded was Biz Markie singing Pancakes and Syrup and doing it like as this amazing rap. And it was one of those crowning achievements in my life.
Yeah, that is rad as hell, man.
Just so cool, man. But yeah, we had such great guests. Like it was such a cool experience. It's coming back too. The show's on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Or will be soon. They're making new episodes and stuff. I'm not involved, but
no, not at all. They were like, hey, remember how we were a success? Let's not use any of the people.
No, I'm fine with it. I'm not a good songwriter.
Oh, you didn't write songs for the show?
No, I did. I just wrote lyrics.
Did they make it on TV?
Yes, a lot of them. Yeah.
Oh, so it seems to me like you might be a better songwriter than you're giving yourself credit for.
I don't know. I appreciate that, but yeah. Either way,
did the job get done? No. I'm not anywaying this because
okay, all right.
No, the job got done. People liked it. You said before, like you wrote songs that ended up becoming very popular.
Yes.
So what rationale do you have for saying that you're not good at writing songs?
They're dumb songs for 2-year-olds.
That doesn't mean they're not doing the job.
That's true. Like, man, I wasn't prepared for this like positivity.
No, but like that weird humility where you put yourself down. That's not. I don't with that because you built two. You helped. You were a major cog in helping to build two music-based live action programs that are weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you.
So I then to look back and be like, I'm not that good at the music thing. It's like really because the Aquabats liked you enough to take you on tour.
That's
That led
true.
to this job, which led to this job. Like,
Yeah.
I
That's
don't I
a
don't
fair
think that
point.
you are bad at writing songs. I think that you just
I'm the
they're
best.
not the songs you might listen to.
I'm the best songwriter in this house. Let's put it that
Certainly
way.
on the Zoom.
Certainly. Yeah, I mean, I only bring up that they have, for their new series and stuff, they have an unbelievable amount of talented people, and I'm happy that they're coming back, and I was really happy with what I got to contribute to the show.
Yeah. And you got
But
$300 for it.
I got
That's
$300.
huge.
I got some more money later, but
Oh, thank God.
yeah, they had to
You're like, but I
renegotiate.
did have to stab one of the monsters for it.
I killed Broby. I
Yeah.
murdered Broby
Just
on the set.
choked him out in front of Muna.
The first season we ever filmed Yo Gabba, we were at Downey Studios, and this is a complete tangent, but it made me think about killing Broby.
that is the byline of this show.
Okay, good.
Jeff has cool friends. This is a complete tangent.
We heard that they were filming the new Indiana Jones down, like, I don't know if you've ever been to, have you ever been to Downey Studios?
I've avoided it.
Good for you. It's like it's where they built the shuttles. Like NASA had it forever, and they built shuttles. So they have these huge hangars, and they just turn the hangars into movie sets. So it's pretty cool. But
the space race. We need a new Indiana Jones movie.
We need a new Indiana Jones. And
what's more important? We explore the cosmos, or we get to see Shia LaBeouf, Tarzan swinging with some apes.
Well, if I had known the movie was going to be maybe one of the worst things I've ever seen, I would have tried to blow up the set.
Did you ever hear what Harrison Ford says about that?
No.
Where he just goes, I don't know what you people wanted. He goes, how is this any more different than Jesus being real and having a magic cup? And I was like,
wow.
All right, yeah, I guess he's like, it was what it was. He's like, we've done stupider things in these movies before.
Oh, hard disagree. I will.
Temple of Doom is
pretty dumb.
Interestingly, you can in Raiders of the Lost Ark, all he does is talk about how he doesn't believe in magic, and then the thing that saves him in Temple of Doom, which happens before Raiders of the Lost Ark, is magic.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, like, here's my problem with, and actually years ago I used to have this blog, because I was super, super cool. And I wrote this 3-page, or not 3-page, 3-part series about why the Crystal Skull was terrible. And I watched the DVD extras there was like the complete collection of Indiana Jones. I watched DVD extras that they talk about Crystal Skull. And dude, it is just Spielberg and Lucas just re-throwing each other under the bus. Like, it is one of the most marvelous things I've ever seen, where it's like, well, George wanted to do aliens, and I had, I've done so many aliens. So I was like, I don't really want to do aliens. It just isn't, it's not really what sounds fun to me or whatever. And then it goes back to George, and he blames Steve. It's just like, it's fantastic.
I do like that. And which we all know it's George's fault. Like, the fact that anybody has to be like, okay, George, Steven had the bad idea.
Yes.
Let's look at the scorecard of bad ideas in large budget movies and see how it goes. It's like, oh well,
yeah.
I guess Steven Spielberg had like 2 things that didn't work out.
Yeah, how
about you? Oh, God. Most everything you did after 1983. All right, noted.
Yeah, I had no doubt it was George Lucas's fault. Like, even watching the movie, just like the feel of the movie felt very Star Wars prequels-y.
Very,
you know what I mean?
Very Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, very glossy. Nothing looked real. Like, it just. I
think the part of Indiana Jones is the grit. Like,
yes.
Like, Indiana Jones shouldn't be filmed digitally.
No.
Like, that's the thing. Like, and I know that that's an impractical and expensive thing, but like, it seems like that should be on 35 millimeter, right? Like, that, because it takes place in the past. It should have that like past grit to it.
Well, what's funny is, like, I remember when National Treasure came out, and I'm like, okay, these are Indiana Jones movies that are now better than Indiana Jones movies. Like, there was just something to it that was a little bit more realistic, not all this CGI craziness. Like, just the Crystal Skull was just a video game that Harrison Ford was in. Like, that's all it really was. And it just wasn't. Shia LaBeouf ruined the whole thing. I was very, very sad.
I like Shia LaBeouf a lot. I think
Do you?
I think he's a dipshit, but from a talent wise perspective, I
Oh,
think he's incredible.
I'm not saying that he's not talented. I'm saying that his presence on the screen annoys me.
Oh, see, I don't know. I like him. He was like, look at when he plays those supporting roles, like he's fantastic in Constantine. I don't know. I like him a
He's
lot.
good.
I know that
He's a talented actor. I'm not saying he's not a
I
talented
think he's
actor.
super fed up. I just also think that he's incredibly talented.
He gives me the same vibe I have with Miles Teller, where I can't stand seeing his face, but he's also very talented.
They have similar faces too, so
They do have
that's
some. Maybe it's
yeah.
that. Maybe it's like the structure of their face really turns
Yeah,
me off. That could be that.
that's fair.
But we were at Downey and we stole a golf cart and we went and like got on set on Indiana Jones's set. And it was where they were filming the Area 51 thing, because they turned one of those hangars into the Area 51 thing at the beginning of Crystal Skull. We didn't know what it was about at all, but we just saw Area 51 written and we were like, oh, we were so excited. For like 10 minutes, we were just driving around looking at stuff, and then we got kicked out, obviously. But we were so excited. Area 51, what are they going to find? Oh my God. Like the possibilities were endless. And it was the best day I had on set at Yo Gabba, was stealing cart and going onto that set and getting kicked off. We tried to find Harrison Ford. Maybe we got kicked out because we literally were driving around yelling Harrison, but that was probably a bad idea. But we
blew up your own spot, man.
Well, what if it worked though? What if we were yelling Harrison and he came out?
You know what the answer would be if it worked? Is him going, "What?"
Yeah, exactly. But that would have been worth it. That totally would have been worth it.
Being Harrison Forded.
Yes, man.
That's
Are you kidding me?
I got Shatnered at a panel because I was introducing him. And I was thinking that, like normally if you introduce somebody when you're not hosting a panel, but you're just doing an introduction, they shake your hand when they walk by you, they nod, they do whatever. And that man, after I gave him like the best intro and like I got the crowd all fired up. I step back, he walks past me, and I swear to God, it's like I didn't exist. And on stage, I just started laughing when because I'm off to the side, so he gets up there, and I don't think anybody really saw me, but I just like doubled over laughing as I'm getting off the stage. And the person who was like there, like the handler, is like, "What's so funny?" And I'm like, "That's the best thing that could have happened. If he had acknowledged me in any way, I would have been like, oh, Shatner, he wasn't so bad." But getting Shatnered like that, I was like, oh my God, it's so right. It's so true.
I met one time in my friend's band opened for Bad Religion, and huge, like one of the first albums I ever owned was No Control by Bad Religion. They're huge. Like I'm a huge Bad Religion fan. I've never been around them at all. It's kind of one of those things where I've just avoided them, Yeah. But my friend's band was opening for him. I was super excited. We're at House of Blues, and we're loading in. So we have to go in an elevator and get back up to the top so we can get more gear. So we go to the elevator, and in the elevator is Greg Graffin, lead singer of Bad Religion. And he's in the elevator, and we're like, hey, can you hold the elevator? And he goes, nope. And he hits the button to close it, and it closes in our faces. It was the greatest. Like literally, I'm like, that's Perfect. How I want him to be. Yeah. Like he's this punk overlord. Fuck everything. Like that's what I need that guy to be. Yeah. If he would have been like, oh no, come on, hold on, mate. You can make it. You can, like, that would have been the worst.
There is something to find out, like the reality of people or especially if you have like an image of them in your head. And you're like, oh my God, it's true. That was Bourdain was such a dude. He was such a dude. He was just like a guy that wanted to talk about geeky shit.
Yeah.
Like that to me was so much better. When you're just like, he seems like just like a guy you'd want to grill with, and then you're like hanging out and you're like, oh my God, he is.
Yeah. I like, that's what I want them to be, how I want them to be. Like, I mean, I not to keep going back to my new album, but like I tell a story on that album where I meet Steve Martin, and like Steve Martin is like the reason I do comedy. He's when I was 12, I think, or 11, I saw The Jerk for the first time.
He's like ethereal.
Yeah,
comedy. Like he's the ether of comedy.
It doesn't make sense how good he is at whatever he wants to do.
His book, it really does explain it. Did you read
Born Standing Up? Yeah, of course.
Where he's just like, I built every skill I possibly could.
Well, no, of course he works hard,
like,
but it's like,
and he's like, oh, I learned magic when I was working at Knott's, and I didn't use it again for 15 years. And then I was on a movie set, and they asked if I could do this thing, and I was like, I sure can. And you're like,
yeah,
man?
Yeah, he just seems like, I mean, yeah, he's just like the greatest. And I would never in my whole life would ever think that I would meet him. And I was doing stand up, and I was actually on another plus. I was doing a weekend opening for Norm Macdonald, and which
No big deal.
in and of itself was like so much, you know. And there again, a guy who, this is what I think Norm is in my head, and was exactly that person. All he did was want to sit around and talk about comedy. That's it. Like, he just wanted to talk about old comedy, mainly like Groucho Marx and Martin Lewis and like those guys. And like, that's where I land.
Hey,
So
you know
I'm
who
like,
I like is all the dead people.
yeah. Yeah. And he would just sit there and he would just talk, and he would like talk. He never didn't talk comedy. Like, he would talk about, like, he would give me tags for jokes. He would ask for my input on his set. And I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to ruin any of your life with whatever I might say. Cause that
You
would be like
know,
the biggest heartbreak ever for me to give him a tag and he goes up and it fails, you know?
I all right, so we're getting a read on you here. And it really comes down to the fact that you seem to, even though you've accomplished so much, you really don't seem confident in your ability. You're on here because I found out you have an album coming out, and I was like, "We'll come do my show. I want to talk to you because you've done so much cool shit. And why not talk about the album?" But like, you've got the album out. Like, you should have been trying to help him, because how fun is that?
I mean, I gave him, oh yeah, you know, but you know, it's one of those things. I remember giving it, I did some shows, and I'm sure you know them too, the Sklar brothers.
Yeah,
I
they're
did some,
great.
they're the nicest guys. And I've done a bunch of weekends with them over the years, and I've given them tags before, and they do it and it kind of fails. And I'm like, ah, shit. And then they'll give me a tag and I'll do it, and it'll just like work like, you know, it'll be
They're the Sklar
amazing and
brothers.
huge laughs. I'm like, okay, all right.
I
So it's
was
kind of like, oh, go ahead.
I was working a charity auction at an elementary school when I first moved out here. And it was really just a producer was looking for people that needed jobs. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I had just listened to the Sklar brothers talk about like their worst set they ever had. It was like a corporate gig, so obviously it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just listened to it like earlier that day. And then that night, I think it was Jason maybe was there.
Mm.
And I was like, dude, I was like, he was like, kind of like, we were talking for a little bit. He was asking something, and I was like, hey man, not to be weird, but I literally just listened to you talking about this worst set and blah blah blah. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah, like earlier today. And we ended up becoming like friendly, and he
Mm-hmm.
kept like coming up to tell me what he was bidding on and stuff. It was like, he was like, check out this thing I'm getting. And I was like, yeah, it's rad as hell. And then
Yeah.
we never talked. And this was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Last year I was at Dana Gould's wedding and he was there. And I was
Oh,
like, when I first, and I tell him, I'm like, I first moved out here. It might have been even 2012. And I was telling him that story, and he's like, you remember that? And I was like, yeah, man, when you move out here, when famous people are nice to you, you never forget that.
yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
can't forget that, because you're like, oh, this person I saw on the TV is nice.
And you just assume they're not. You just assume it's going to be a mess.
I was wearing an X-Men track jacket that there, yeah, and I
Love
had a
it.
Red Sox hat. I do still have it. And I hear somebody go, dude, that jacket's amazing. And I look up, and it is Rob Corddry. And he's from Weymouth, Mass. And I was
Oh,
wearing a
okay.
Red Sox hat, and he sees the hat when I look up, and he goes, oh my God, I'm from Weymouth. And I didn't say this, but I wanted to be like, yeah, man, I know. But I was like, oh yeah, I'm from the Worcester area. And then he goes, dude, he's like, this is gonna sound weird. I really like that jacket. Do you think I could take a picture of you with that jacket? And I went, do you not understand how celebrity interactions are supposed to go? I need to ask you for the photo.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I never got a photo with him because I didn't want to do that because I was working. But somewhere there's a picture of me and Rob Corddry like in his phone, maybe, or like his
That
assistant was told to hunt down the jacket.
I would adore that he never deleted that photo. Like, if he just
Wouldn't that
has
be
it in
great?
his phone, maybe, and maybe at this point it's now his oldest photo. Like, it's just he
It's
scrolls back
just
to the
his
top.
first one.
It's
I'm
just
not getting rid
you.
of it.
Yeah.
Make
I
sure you
can't
sync these up when he buys the phone. Make sure you sync them up.
every time. Someday I'm going to buy this jacket.
Hey, I don't know if you knew this, but here's the thing is I actually have producers that they give me money. They go to patreon.com/Jeff May. They sign up for the producer tier. And for an affordable amount of money, I will say their name on a podcast that people listen to. That's very exciting. And not only will I say their name, but I will say whatever the hell they want me to because I am a what? Whore. So I want to
That's the
shout that
best
out.
way to be.
Now, if you're listening for free, thank you. I appreciate the shit out of you. But if you want early access to uncensored episodes with bonus content, you can head on over to the Patreon and you can even sign up for the producer tier. And I do actually have a couple, I just readapted it. So I do have a couple of spots open up. So I would like to give a big shout out to, I know Jeff doesn't even like sports, but James from Michigan got a hole in one. Damn, James, congratulations.
Congratulations, James.
Wouldn't that be funny if it wasn't James and it was just somebody that like read about it in the newspaper, and they have those little blurbs like James Henderson of
wait, is that newspaper worthy?
I think it's one of those things in the sport in like the local sports section where if you get a hole in one, you can like send it in and they'll like publish it.
What in the world? How have I been not doing this?
I only know that because my barber back home has his little clipping from when he got a hole in one up on his.
All right. Well, this is now a new life goal is to go out and get a hole in one and then submit it to my local paper.
Do you golf?
I do. Yeah. I golf. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So that's your goal is to get a hole in one.
Yeah. I'm terrible.
Before you were playing golf.
I'm a terrible golfer. I literally just go. I don't know. Do you know Dustin Nickerson?
I know. Yeah.
Dustin and myself and James Schrader, the three of us go golfing quite a bit. They are good. I'm very bad. I just go to hang out and talk and joke and make jokes.
Here's how I am at golf, and it's the least surprising thing in the world. I can drive the ball a country mile. I cannot putt or chip to save my life.
See, I am the exact opposite.
So you're a finesse guy.
My drives suck, always have, but my short game, pretty flawless.
I mean, I'm a being of brute strength. So like,
well, you work out, man. I always see you you're always boxing and stuff.
I do. Yeah, I did. I did. Before. I sparred yesterday and the day right before we were recording. I went 6 rounds with a tank of a man.
Before I forget to say this, though, and I don't mean to cut you off, but you and Zoltan are the two people who inspired me to start boxing.
Really?
Because I had a back injury and I couldn't go running anymore. And so I was trying to figure out what kind of exercises can I do. And I had a friend who brought up boxing. And then I saw you guys boxing. I'm like, man, that looks like a good workout. And I've been doing it for a year. It's the best.
It is the first exercise. I was going to say activity and then I went to say exercise. It's the first exercise I've ever done where the pain felt great when I was done. Where like every other sport that I had done, like I would do it, but I was like, I hate this. I played football for 3 years in high school. I hated every single ounce of it. Once boxing came through, I was like, this is what I was meant to do. This is so much fun.
Yeah, so fun, man.
But but I am I'm all power. Like when I bowl, I take a 16-pound ball, walk up, take a half a step to the right and throw the ball as hard as I can. And that when it hits the pins, they explode. And if they all explode, good. If they don't, I'm screwed because I'm not exactly going to be like do one of those like kingpin style curves where it rides the lane and then cuts in at the last minute.
Yeah.
It's not Jeffrey with a 16-pound ball.
I can't do that either.
Anyway, shout out to Bart Fardigan. Shout out to Dan Adamski, world's humblest man. Shout out to Norm from Cheers. Norm. Shout out to Dan Hackroyd, Mind Freak 555. Andrew House Nemesis, McGuire. Shout out to check out this month's Nerd with Dre and Jeff.
It feels like a plug.
It was Dre. Dre does a show with me called Nerd. It's a monthly show. There's one tier where you can actually co-host a show with me, and that's amazing. Nerd, and we're in the middle of we do 3-month runs, so 3-episode chapters, I guess you could say, and we're doing card games this month.
So sorry, card games,
like collectible card games.
Oh, awesome!
So we just did Magic the Gathering, which is why I have a big stack of Magic the Gathering cards right here.
Perfect.
We did Star Wars before that. And then this month, so the month of May, it's going to be Pokemon,
Oh,
which I have no knowledge of. So this is actually going to be really interesting to dive deep on that one.
yeah.
But yeah,
Me
that's a
neither.
great show.
That's
Ray also has
awesome.
been revitalizing my YouTube.
Oh,
He was like, "Hey, your YouTube sucks. Give me your login info." And I was
that's
like, "Okay." And he's just been making it so much better. So like, Dre's a damn all-star. Shout
that's
out to Dre.
awesome. Shout out to Dre.
And listen to Nerd and follow him at Nerd Numbers. Why not? Shout out to the wandering unpierced left nipple. Shout out to Eat and Die Grand Canyon. You ever been?
Grand Canyon?
Yeah.
No, man. It's actually on the list, but
Is it on the list?
it is. I just want to go. Why not go?
Never, because it's a hole.
Everything's just a hole.
Sure.
I mean, we went.
I mean, if you're looking at everything properly, then
Yeah, everything's just in the way.
I don't know. The Grand Canyon just seems like if I've seen a photo of it and then I get there, I would just be like, "Yep."
Well, there's
Yeah,
those
that's
people
what it
who are
looks
like, you want to like camp in the Grand Canyon, and that would be interesting to me. Like camp inside the Grand Canyon. I want to do something like that. I either want to do that or I just want to drive by. Oh, look at there it is, and then take off.
Yep. Yeah, get outside and you'd be like, "Yep," and then get back in and then
Looks like the Grand
back
Canyon.
and then drive to Vegas. Yeah.
Yep.
And be like, "Hey, there's lights here." I'd want to be hunted for sport in the Grand Canyon.
Oh yeah.
That's what I would like. Like, I want like a surviving the game situation in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys who I know that would. What are they? It's racing, I guess, but they like race through the bottom of it, and like I guess dirt bikes would be the easiest way to explain it. But that seems interesting to me, even though I'm terrible on a dirt bike and can't do it.
Yeah,
like
but you know what it is? It's not the Grand Canyon that makes that interesting. It's the bikes.
I don't know though. I think it's kind of cool to. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking in a large.
No,
Like if
I
somebody
get it.
was.
I'm wrong. I understand I'm wrong.
I
Like,
don't think you're wrong though.
you gotta no, I am. Like, having me be like, the Grand Canyon sucks. It's like, well, there millions of people go there every year. So maybe that's
It's just. Have you been to? I'm sure you have been to other like national parks, right?
sure.
Don't you? When you go to them, aren't you like, oh wow, this is pretty awesome?
Kind of. But you
Okay.
also got to remember that I grew up in the country. I grew up on a farm in the country.
Oh,
So
what's
like,
funny about you is I always assumed you grew up in like a city in Massachusetts.
no. I grew up
Okay.
in Charlton, Massachusetts, population 11,000.
Really?
And that's like now. That's not back then. It was way less. So I grew up around nature. So like going into the woods and stacking wood and chopping wood and dealing with cows and like that, like playing in the gravel pit. That's all I did as a kid.
Mm.
Nature is like work to me because it reminds me, like going into the woods reminds me of having to go and sacrifice my weekends to collecting firewood and bringing it to my grandfather's.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like,
can see that. I could see that for sure.
so like I'm kind of not as invested as I could be in that regard.
Yeah.
Who wins in the what if crossover we do truly deserve? Doo-doo suit Bruce Wayne versus doo-doo suit Wolverine. Doo-doo
Are
suit
you,
Bruce Wayne from Batman the Animated Series when he used to wear that brown suit all the time.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Or Wolverine in the brown suit.
I mean, Wolverine in
It's
a brown
Wolverine,
suit.
yes.
Yeah, it's Wolverine.
Yeah.
I'm more like used to that suit. Does that make sense?
No, that tends to be like the suit where the popularity really hit the most.
What was his first suit though? It was yellow, right? It was the yellow and blue.
His first suit was yellow, black with slight blue highlights, and instead of having the big wing, it was a very small wing. That was the Hulk 181. And then when they redesigned him for Giant Size X-Men #1, he got the larger, but he stayed yellow up until I think John Byrne, and then John Byrne redesigned him with the brown.
In the animated series, he was mainly in yellow, right? Yellow and blue.
Yeah, yellow and black, yeah.
Yellow and black?
Yellow, black, and blue, yeah.
Okay. I was like, Mike, am I seeing colors wrong? Because I remember blue.
Blue highlights, but like the black stripes here and
yeah,
the black mask, yeah.
Okay. All right, good. There you go.
There you go. Shout out to the ghost of Dave Thomas. Shout out to I haven't had carbs or sugar in a couple weeks, and I fantasize about deli sandwiches now. Hey man, you should allow yourself a little bit of those things, by the way. Like once a week, you should allow yourself a cheat, and I hope you have.
I lost a lot of weight a couple of years back, and huh?
AIDS?
Yeah, full blown. And the first you can't be on a diet. You're just eating whatever you want. It's kind of those T cells got to get fed. And I know I was lost all the way, and I had this diet where I didn't do like carbs or anything like that, or I did carbs, but like vegetable carbs.
Yeah.
And it was great. I felt healthy. I was healthy. And then like there was one day where I made my daughter a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and it was the best thing I've ever eaten in my life.
Can I add something? Peanut butter jelly sandwich is a decent thing to eat.
It's great.
No, like it's especially if you're getting like preserves from like a farmer's market or something like that.
We do preserves.
It's not just sugar. It's not Smuckers.
Yeah.
You know, but like if you get a good preserve,
Mm-hmm.
and like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Remember when they did that? The hot dog, every hot dog you eat takes time off of your life.
Yeah.
On that same scale, the top of the list was peanut butter and jelly sandwich that added time on.
Really?
Well, because
I didn't know that.
If you're eating proper peanut butter, as in not Jif, and you're eating proper preserves, that's not Smuckers, and you're eating bread that isn't Wonder Bread.
Yeah.
Like it's going to fill you up in a very good way.
We're a whole wheat family, and we use preserves too. But it's funny is it's like when you change it up like that, the taste isn't that different than when you use all the ingredients. You know what I mean?
Prefer it actually.
I would totally agree. We use apricot preserves a lot for our for the kids, and man, they're so good, so good. Yeah, I don't disagree.
You know what I had yesterday? Marmalade.
Marmalade.
I had marmalade. I had like what's that, like bon vivant or whatever, that one that has like the checkerboard pattern at the French company.
Wow. Yeah.
I had some of that marmalade
by the spoonful or with something
so what I do is like I'll do half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich where I'll take one piece of bread and I'll put peanut butter on one side and then jelly on the other. Because I know I'll eat the full sandwich, but I'll also get full enough on half. So I'll just do half. And I hadn't had marmalade in forever. And I was like, oh yeah, I really like this. At the farmer's market I go to, they have a marmalade that has chili flakes in it. And like, I'm probably going to grab that.
Yeah. That sounds interesting. Yeah. I haven't had marmalade in a long, long time.
Yeah. It's great. But also, hey, a person who's not having carbs or sugar, allow yourself once a week to cheat, or else when you break, you're going to break hard and it's going to wreck your life. Shout out to the scene in Meet Joe Black where Brad Pitt dies. A great producer, been producing since the beginning.
All-time scene. That's an all-time scene.
Yeah. Shout out to, hi, your friendly neighborhood mortician here to encourage folks who choose cremation to have a game plan afterwards, either scatter or bury, because it sure is awkward finding random cremated remains in a broom closet. I would like to say, this is one of my top 18 producers that I have on the show.
Okay.
Granted, I have only 18, but this information being delivered, I've had so many people message me and just be like, okay, I did the thing that the mortician told me to do. I fixed it into my will or something like that. And I'm like, you have a will? But also like, wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
So shout out to your friendly neighborhood mortician who is giving really great information to a lot of us that don't think of that stuff.
How do you want
to be? What is going to happen to your remains?
Well, I had a really great option, and then I don't know if it's I'm going to get cremated for sure, but there's a thing where you can get your ashes made into a record of whatever song you want. And I was like, that's kind of cool. But then
by Aerosmith?
That would be the song. But I didn't want to I don't know if that's traumatizing, right? Like, I don't know if my kids are like, oh, here's dad, and they put him on to play a song. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's...
What song would it be?
This is going to sound cheesy maybe, but it'd be my favorite song, with Jesus Take the Wheel. No, I'm just kidding. It would be...
I'm like, wow, that sucks.
Yeah, really hard. Yeah, no, my favorite song is What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. That's not a joke. That's legitimately my favorite song of all time. It would probably be that song.
I wonder how many people got that Hawaiian dude doing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh, Is.
Right? Yeah.
Is.
I bet that dude's got so much cremated remains in his album, in his songs. Because that seems like I've been to weddings where they play that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
I remember hearing that song for the first time going, this is really cool. And then But yeah, it gets played quite a bit. Yeah, but I don't
It's
know if I want to do the record thing. What about you? You're gonna get cremated?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care what happens to my body if I'm being 100% honest. Cremate
Sure.
me and throw me in a playground. I don't care. You know
Yeah,
what?
my
Put me in little sacks and then play pitch and hit baseball with it. That would be funny to me because then people would end up inhaling it when they hit it. And that would be funny to me.
that
That'd
is
be,
really funny.
yeah.
We did.
No, I really,
My mom wanted to be her ashes to be spread on this mountain that overlooks the beach down here in San Diego, and so it was a big pain in the ass to make it all happen because it's illegal, and so we had to like figure out how to do it. And
you know how you do it is you just lie,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
throw in
yeah.
a backpack,
We did little Ziploc bags, and then we just walked around the mountain and
bomb
just
and snack bags.
emptied. I don't know. Like,
Go
we
into
couldn't
some trail
carry.
mix, you accidentally eat a piece of mom.
Yeah. No, it was, that's how we had to do it. There wasn't really another way to do it.
I can't imagine. I can't think of like a place that I would want my ashes scattered.
There's only one place I've ever thought of scattering my ashes. And so if I don't do the record thing, it would be I want my ashes scattered at the parking lot of El Cotijan in Claremont, which is my favorite Mexican food place and probably where I have 35% of my fondest memories from childhood.
Claremont.
Claremont, man, down in San Diego. Hell yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you meant
Not the city
Claremont,
Claremont. No,
like,
no, no, no.
oh, okay.
No, there's a community in San Diego called Claremont. It's like right Pacific Beach is at the beach, and if you go up the hill, next to it is Claremont, which is where I grew up. And I'm like, that's where I'd want to be forever, is in that parking lot.
I want my bones turned into an amusement park attraction.
That would be.
I want to be one of those. You know how like they find out that like back in the day, old carnivals would use like real corpses and they're like scary.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that. I want to do that. But
yeah. I think that's attainable.
if you have a mortician that is less scrupulous, I got to go to this mortician and just be like, hey, can you like skin me?
You know,
like keep the bones? Like, is that a thing?
you'd also have to like find a place that would do it, and you'd have to go to like Missouri or something with like
That's why
very
I'd go to her.
loose.
I think she's in Georgia, which
Oh
seems
yeah,
like loose regulation.
loose. Yeah, you could do it in Georgia for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Billy Beck. Shout out to the To Be Terror Bunny thinks you should watch more Rutger Hauer films.
Yeah, all right. That's an opinion.
Yeah, that's he's in what's The Dark Knight? Or what's he?
No,
Batman Begins, right?
Yeah, he's Hobo with the Shotgun made me sour on Rutger Hauer. Yeah,
You soured on Hauer.
I sour on Hauer. Yeah,
The Hauer Sour Hour is what we call that. Shout out to Dr. DNA. Now, if you want to be one of those names that we say and me and my guests make fun of you or talk about you or come up with burial plans about you, head on over to patreon.com/Jeff May for all that. I want to talk about the album.
Let's.
How long did it take you for this material to make it on the album? Because that's, I think, the big question most people have about comedy albums.
Okay. So let me preface a little bit. We met doing stand-up, obviously, and we have a mutual friend, Connor, who has put us on several shows together. He
also introduced me to my favorite edibles.
He does that. He really does do that.
Emerald Sky peanut butter cups.
He's always got treats. I still do stand-up from time to time, but anyway, I started doing storytelling, like live storytelling shows, like The Moth kind of a thing down in San Diego. I started doing it like about 10 years ago during the lockdown part of the pandemic. I didn't want to do Zoom shows. I didn't want to do parking lot shows, and I wasn't really missing stand-up. And so I was like, you know what I do miss though is stories, telling stories on stage in front of people. And so I had all these recordings from the last 10 years of stories that I've done in that span. So I put out an album during lockdown because I'm like, this is a way for me to make some money without having to go out on stage and do it. And it did really well. So that album is out.
Now, is that Rough Drafts?
Rough Drafts. Yeah. We miraculously, it was like number 2 on iTunes for a while, which was amazing. Couldn't beat
during the pandemic, right under Bo Burnham.
Right under Bo Burnham. Could not crack that nut, man.
No, you're not going to do that. Not during the pandemic.
No. And so it was there, but it was great. And the reception to it was great. And so I was like, okay, well, I have more stories. And So it kind of took me to put it all together and decide what goes where. Took me about 6 months. And I know that's not the same as like doing like material, but like what I had to do was like some of the stories were old and the audio was just so terrible that I'm like, okay, I need to rewrite these and re-record them. So it was like going out, finding the shows, finding the venues to re-record it. And this one has a theme of like basically all the bridges that I've burned in my
Yeah.
careers.
Yeah, the album cover is animation of it's called the album's called I Didn't Start the Fire and Other Lies, and it's a burned bridge
Yeah.
with you in front of it being like, oops,
Oopsie doopsie. Yeah.
oopsie. So
And
okay,
you'll
so
notice alcohol, beer is
yeah,
trying to put the fire out, but it's not doing it. It's all metaphor.
so this is the tracks are individually recorded as opposed to one hour show being recorded. Is that right?
Yes, they're all their own stories. Yep.
All right, that's because
Yeah.
that's interesting. That
Well,
reminds me a lot of like main humor. Like
like the state.
yes, yeah, they're like main humor is not comedy, it's like humorists. I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed you call yourself that on your website, I believe, right?
I think I call myself a satirist, but I could say
No, you
humorist.
wrote you on your own website. Dallas McLaughlin is a writer, performer, comedian, and humorist.
There you go. All right. Great. Yeah, but isn't that the problem? I feel that way because, like, again, bring it back to Steve Martin. I don't know if you'd call Steve Martin a comedian anymore, but I think you could call him a humorist. Like, I feel like he just does a lot of things in the world of comedy but you couldn't categorize him as a comedian.
Like Dave Barry.
Sure. Yeah. That's
Or Amy Sedaris or something like that. Like,
yeah. Amy Sedaris, I think, is a great comp. And like for stories, for stories and comedy, everybody right now goes, oh, so like what Birbiglia does. And I was like, kind of. And one of the things that
Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, Mike Birbiglia, by the way.
did not know. There's
Two
so many
towns
people from
over.
Massachusetts.
Huh?
There's so many comics from Massachusetts.
Yeah. Well, we have to do that. Because we fight or we die. So you either fight or you're funny enough to not get beat up. Those are like your only options.
Oh man. When you do both, you're funny and you box. So you're
Yeah,
ready
I
to go
started
back.
funny and then I was like, maybe I should do the other one for a little bit.
Yeah, with the thing that Birbiglia did that I thought was, I mean, I think he's really great, brilliant, but what I was happy is that he got very well known for doing that, and I was like, that's awesome because then there is a comp that I can give people to be like, yeah, this is kind of what it's like. It's not entirely that, like, he still has a lot of flavor of stand up in it, where I feel like mine is a little bit more narrative, my stories, but like I was just happy to have somebody out there doing it that anybody gave a crap about because it is hard. Like doing these individual stories is also different. And at one point, a couple of years ago, I did an hour-long show, and then next year, I'm currently writing an hour-long show that I'll do next year, and they're kind of like one-man shows, whatever, but
Yeah.
not really. It's not like like, and then at the end, like I learned my lesson. Like it's not, so anyway, this album, every story is different. Most of them are recorded in different places, definitely different years, but like they all share a common theme. And it is interesting. It is interesting earlier that you were like, oh yeah, you're really bad at being confident, which I am really bad at being confident. And maybe it's because most of these stories are me, being confident and then somebody telling me to fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it hard to maintain audio consistency on something?
Oh God,
like
yes.
Because like that's the one thing I'd be a bit nervous about would be releasing an album where everything is recorded in a different place. So like, did you like hire somebody to like mix the audio so that it all kind of matched up with volume, tone, and
Yeah, it for the most part, it's very close. The problem with a lot of these audio recordings is like, like the first story on this album was done 8 years ago. And it was before even the show that I was at started caring about recording audio, so it was like there wasn't a lot you could do to manipulate it.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of those that are in that situation. There's a story I tell on the album about working at SeaWorld, and the audio file was corrupted and it definitely sounds messed up. However, I went and re-recorded it because I'm like, okay, I need to get a cleaner audio of this story. And I went and re-recorded it. And although it went really well at the re-recording, like very well, there is something about that first show
Mhm.
that I'm like, The vibe in that first show was just the vibe that needs to be on the album.
You're like, man, that vibe of me not having 2 kids. I really missed that vibe from that first album.
No,
So much has happened to you since
so
you
much has
told that
happened.
time for the first time. And so I get it. Like I look back at a lot of material that I wrote when I started and I was like, 30.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I started so late.
I started doing stand-up at 32, if it makes you feel better.
It does.
Yeah, I did.
Granted, I don't have the credits you have, which is why I have a Patreon.
Stupid.
Which is why 18 people give me money to no,
18 people. If 18 people buy this album, I'll be happy.
Dude, I like revamped my Patreon and like there are different tiers, and one of the tiers, because I've been doing opening packs of sports cards and then non-sports cards, like cards. And like there's one tier where I get to mail to people. Like I make them care packages basically and send them.
That's amazing.
It's the most fun I've ever had doing this.
Well, do you know that I host a baseball card opening show?
You do pack breaks?
I co-host. Yeah. It's called Talks Chrome.
You do Chrome?
Well, no, it's just the name of it. We picked Topps Chrome. We picked Talks Chrome, but it's me and my buddy Sean O'Donnell, who's in that band Yellow Card. And
he's not the one from Rhode Island, is he?
No. He's from Southern California.
Mackin, the violin player. He's from.
You're thinking about no, not him.
Sean was in the band. He's a girl I graduated with's cousin.
Very nice.
But if you notice, like if you look above me, there's like boxes of Garbage Pail Kids and DC cards. I've got so many packs of 91 Donruss and 92 O-Pee-Chee.
Dude, that's amazing, man.
I have so much junk wax. Dude, I have
we don't do
you do modern?
The last episode, not the last episode, 2 episodes ago, it was all about how, because Sean buys all the cards. He's pretty wealthy, or his wife is anyways. So they buy all the cards and then we just jump on Zoom and talk shit. It's mainly just talking shit.
Do you get to open the cards though?
He opens the cards.
But you don't get
I have cards that I've filmed my own thing. I do a thing on the channel called Helton's Hits where I pretend that I'm Todd Helton's brother. No, I'm his brother, and that half the show is just me complaining that he's not in the Hall of Fame. But then I do open cards on that.
Padres, so I do that. Is that your team? Obviously.
It's my team, but I don't really care. I have one pack. In one pack I hit a Tatis rookie. So that was pretty.
Was it like a special variant or just a base set?
It's the base Tatis rookie, but it's still, if he can turn it back on, it'll be a nice little chunk of change.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. I love that. Opening cards is so much fun.
It's so much fun. We're gonna, we'll talk more about that because we've got bonus content.
You should come on Talks Chrome at some point. Then
that'll be fun.
I'd love for you to do that.
That would be a blast, man. I've been having such a fun because we do. You don't even like sports cards on the Unpopular Opinion Network. So me and Adam Todd Brown, I drive up to his place in San Pedro and we just open cards.
That's great, dude.
I just picked up this box of 88 Topps football stickers.
Whoa!
I'm so excited to open these.
I do a segment on the show called, because there's usually that guy Jansen Junk. I don't know if you know Jansen Junk. He's a young player. I think his name is funny, so I do a thing called the Jansen's Junks card.
Yep.
And I just find a card in my collection that like sucks. Like this guy, Don Ass.
Don
Ass.
Dude, you want to know something?
Please.
One of my producers that I went to high school with and we used to make fun used that as one of the producer names for like the longest time.
That's
Don
really
Ass.
funny.
So you can go to old episodes of Jeff Has Cool Friends and you can hear Don Ass.
Don Ass.
That's so funny. That's a 90s year.
Jay Baller. It's a score. It's an 88 score.
Oh, that was the 88.
Don Ass. Jay Baller. This was the 91 Topps.
That's 88 Topps.
Or 88 Topps. Thank you. I just said 91. Yeah. Anyway.
But
that's great, dude.
We'll talk more about that because we got bonus content coming. But for now, the album,
yeah.
What's like release? Is it out?
It's out. You can get it on Bandcamp, dallasmclaughlin.bandcamp.com.
And that's the preferred way to do it, right? Financially.
Yeah. Well, listen, I had a stand-up album on Spotify for 4 years, and I think I probably made, no joke, $100 something.
So
After
if 10
4
people
years,
buy your album on Bandcamp, you'll make the same
I'll
amount.
make that same amount. And like, here's the cool thing about Bandcamp and what people do. I think that's also nice is that I think I have it up for $7 on Bandcamp. My old album is also there for $4, but I have it up for $7 and you can pay what you want, like more than $7. And a lot of people do, man. A lot of people will just go for 10, or I had a buddy who bought it for 20. It's like,
Well, it's like when
that's
Radiohead
awesome.
released In Rainbows.
But
And
yeah,
they
you pay what
pay
you
what you
want.
want.
Yeah. And people end up usually paying more, which is awesome. And Bandcamp is great that your revenue share. If you don't know, Bandcamp is so much better. It's like if you buy it for $7, I get like $5, and that's huge. So like Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. I get like a penny.
The reason that Mint on Card is a free show is
Yeah.
because we go by donations and we make so much more money for the comedians.
Yeah.
By doing a free show where we're like, you guys don't have to pay anything. If you want to give money, go ahead. And we've been paying for a free show in a toy store. We've been paying out, like, I think the last show we did, we were paying out $40 a comic.
That's awesome.
10-minute set in LA.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. That's great. Most of the time that happens, though, I think most of the shows I've been on where they pass the bucket, so to speak, I usually end up walking away with more than if I went to a club and did it headlined a Wednesday,
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. It's there's the overhead is whatever. I mean, that anyway, Bandcamp.
Yeah. Bandcamp. No, it's all right. DallasMcLaughlin.bandcamp.com is where you can get the new album. And if you want the old album there, it's great. Apple Music. It's not on Spotify. I don't put them up on Spotify. It's a pain. It's dumb.
Not worth it.
It's not where you don't make any money. And right now there's that whole thing with like copyright issues where they weren't giving anything labeled comedy any kind of a copyright share.
You know why? Because they're an evil company.
Yeah, they're a bad company.
I say this as somebody who is using them to release, because I used Anchor and then Spotify bought it. And I use Spotify. I hate Spotify.
Spotify's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah. I use Pandora for music, by the way. I don't use Spotify for music.
I use Apple Music. Apple's a bad company. I mean, like we use Amazon. Amazon's a horrible company. It's like you can't. But Spotify for artists, Spotify is the worst company for artists. Unless your name's Joe Rogan, you're pretty screwed. And so which
is why it's so bad for artists.
Which is why it's bad. They got to pay all that money to
Joe Rogan's got your money. Yeah,
no doubt. There's no doubt.
Joe Rogan has got your money. Don't you worry.
Yeah, so that's where you can get it, and it's all stories, man. It's like I had a buddy of mine who's a DJ, and he like remixed one of my stories, which I thought was kind of silly and stupid, but it turned out being one of my favorite things I did on the album. There's like a hidden track.
Step off.
I wish.
So
it is cool how he does it, but yeah, it's fun, man.
Dallas McLaughlin, I didn't start the fire. Go to Bandcamp. Everybody go to Bandcamp. Check this out. Dallas is so fun, so cool, such a great background. It's I know we're running late on time. But we didn't even really get to dive too much into the Aquabats. That's how tangents happen, baby.
That's how it happens, man.
Here's what I will say. Several of my former cool friends are huge fans of the Aquabats and have done like art for them.
Oh, wow.
So it's very funny to see somebody that worked on them from a different side. Something like Dave Perillo, Ian Globinger, I think Scott Derby as well. They've all done artwork for the Aquabats live.
Well, we can talk about it on the bonus content if you want.
We got BoneCon coming through, but Dallas, what else? Like, where else can people find you other than at DallasMcLaughlin.com? That's DALLASS.
Yeah.
MCLAUGHLIN.com.
Dallas McLaughlin.
Dal Mick Laugh Lynn.
Yeah. Most people go, "Oh, did you put laugh in your last name because you do comedy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly why I did it."
Oh, people think I have a stage name.
Oh, people think this is a stage I could see name. That though. I could see because it's so clean. Your name is so 50s clean.
50s actor energy, but it's not. It's my real name. It's just that I have very uninventive white parents.
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's where you can go. You can find me on Instagram at Dallas McLaughlin. You can find me on Twitter. I don't tweet much, but there you go.
Okay. If you
That's it.
want, so if you enjoyed this show and you came here just for Dallas and you've never heard my stuff before, thank you. Thank you for listening. If you want to come to Patreon, head on over to patreon.com/Jeff May, where you get early access to uncensored episodes of this show with bonus content, as well as access to Patreon exclusive shows like Ugh Fine with Kim Crawl. You can come check out Nerd with Dre Alvarez, which is also on this channel. So if you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that. From that point in time, too, I also have my new show, I Must Break You, which you can watch on my YouTube, which is also at Hey There Jeffro, which is also my social media accounts. So at that point in time, I have so much crap going through. You can also hear Tom and Jeff watch Batman on the Gamefully Unemployed Network, as well as Unpopular Opinion and You Don't Even Like Sports, both on the Unpops Network, as well as You Don't Even Like Sports Cards, which is on the Unpopped. I believe we're actually moving it to the You Don't Sports YouTube page, which is really funny. From that point in time, of course, you can also hear me live the second Friday of every month at Mint on Card at Blast from the Past on Magnolia in beautiful Burbank, California. So that's fun. Other than that, thank you so much and bye. Hey everyone, our artwork is created by Justin T. Brown, who can be found at Artness by Justin Brown on Instagram, as well as artnessbyjustinbrown.com. That dope music you heard is by Troy Nababon, available at Troy Nababon on Instagram, as well as at troynababon.com. Nababon is spelled Nababan, and boy, does that shred. Thank you all so much for listening. See you next time.